Bob Cusack now from The Hill, where he's editor-in-chief. And, you know, to Edward's point, I think there was some talk in the markets today about the congressional balance of power and how it all shakes out related to stimulus and whatnot. I know we have those two Senate races going to runoffs right in Georgia. I mean, still, how do you look at things? There's been so much focus on the presidential race, but how the Congress looks in 2021.
Connell, I mean, congressional races, House and Senate, it was a very good night for Mitch McConnell. It was also a very good night for House Republicans. Speaker Nancy Pelosi was spinning a bit today. Yes, they did hold the House, but they were expected to hold the House. And, you know, in politics, Connell, you lower expectations. And what Pelosi and other Democrats did, they raised expectations. They said, we're going to win anywhere from 5 to 15, maybe 20 seats. And they ended up losing seats, and that's going to be tough to govern next year for Nancy Pelosi. And, you know, I think she's going to be Speaker again. She may have to sweat out, you know, getting the votes, but I think she will. This will be her last 2 years as Speaker. But overall, at the congressional level, Republicans did well. And why? Well, Donald Trump. He got the vote out.
Yes, he did. Even if it's not enough to put him over the top, he certainly brought supporters out, states like Pennsylvania and others who are much closer than had been projected for that very reason. Now, in hearing from moderate Democrats, who we've not heard a lot from, quite frankly, over the last couple of years, in the last couple of days, boy, there's been some colorful comments made, and it looks like Speaker Pelosi's going to have her hands full now in terms of dealing with the moderates in her party who are upset, right, with the way this whole campaign was handled, it seems.
Yeah, that's right. There was a very emotional call yesterday where basically moderates who survived and a couple who didn't survive were on this conference call with the rest of the House Democratic Caucus, and it was a battle between progressives and moderates, and Speaker Pelosi and others were saying, listen, we won the war. We may have lost a battle here and there. And then there were some calls, hey, don't tell the media about this call. And they told, you know, Democrats talked to to various media outlets, including ours, about details of it. So this was a big family fight. This was a disappointing election for House Democrats. They did hold the House, but they had huge advantages. They had huge money advantages. And really, the money did not go very far.
Well, speaking of money, I think our audience is interested in that, but in another way, and they want to know what's going to happen in the Congress. You know, all these blue wave predictions had people thinking we'll get some sort of giant stimulus package, and whether you agree or disagree, that might have given a boost to certain industries. Now that looks less likely, I guess, or does it? So what do you see in terms of actually getting things done? The old gridlock is good from the Clinton years or something in between. What will it actually look like in terms of governing, if you had to guess?
Well, I think in some ways, if Joe Biden does become president, this could actually be kind of good for him because he's not going to be pushed way to the left because, honestly, anything that moves out of the House has to pass in all likelihood, a Republican Senate. So I think Mitch McConnell, and remember, Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden, they got along. They struck a lot of fiscal deals. And Mitch McConnell, of course, wanted Trump to win, but he didn't personally go after Joe Biden. They have a very good relationship. So I think for COVID relief, you probably are going to have some type of deal in the lame duck session. And then going forward, though, it's going to have to be a bipartisan compromise because you have split government, and Joe Biden is going to have to, I think, you know, convince some Republicans as well as the left to strike deals in the middle.
Right. And I think, you know, a lot of people have been bringing up the fact that that might mean he can't nominate far left people into his cabinet. More important, though, I think, for investors, business owners and the like, is what about the plans he's presented? Like getting that tax plan through this Congress doesn't seem likely, does it, in the short term?
No. I mean, a few things that are not going to get changed dramatically is Obamacare, because obviously the House is not going to go along with getting rid of Obamacare, and as well as raising taxes. Mitch McConnell, if he is majority leader, and it does look like he's going to be majority leader, is not going to go for any type of repealing the tax law. So the big sweeping items that Joe Biden was going to move, whether it be on climate change or on repealing the tax law, that's just not going to happen. They're going to have to go more small ball.
That might be why we had the best week in the market after an election since the 30s, even though we pulled back a little bit today. Bob, thanks. Always great to see you.